Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Aaron S. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. A quick note for my patrons, I will be holding a live stream this Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a post over there now, so if you have any questions or topics you want me to cover, go ahead and drop them ahead of time so I can prepare, and I hope to see some of you there. First up today, Goldman Sachs has issued a new Tesla stock note. They have dropped their price target from 305 to 235, but it's because they've actually switched their model to a PE-based model, which is why I wanted to touch on it. All I want to share, they say, we believe as an upside case, the stock could trade to $300 per share using 40 to 50 times a $6 to $7 EPS estimate. Now, this of course would be a 2023 estimate. Gary Black and some others are in the neighborhood of $7 and north, but I think Wall Street as an aggregate is closer to $5.80 for 2023. So I thought it was interesting that even the mighty Goldman Sachs, although there's of course more nuance to their model, they are switching over to this PE-based valuation for Tesla. So in 2023, if Tesla can pull some of these demand levers well and benefit from the IRA like we all think that they will, then they're seeing a 40 to 50x from a PE multiple standpoint as reasonable. We know right now the market's not acting rationally. I mean, if you use a $7 EPS for Tesla stock for 2023, its forward PE right now with a share price around $160 is in the neighborhood of 23. Simply put, Goldman is aware of the challenges ahead for Tesla, but overall they were still pretty bullish and they definitely see the upside as well. Tesla just released a new 1 terabyte solid state drive for $350. Now, I can hear some of you rolling your eyes out there already. I'd imagine you're doing that because yes, you can go on Amazon and get a 1 terabyte solid state drive for $89. But as with most things in life, not everything is created equal. Tesla's is supposed to be automotive grade, so it can actually withstand temperature variation, which is very important for a vehicle. And more importantly, it can actually withhold the vehicle shocks and vibrations. Most SSD drives are meant to sit still and not deal with the shaking. So yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of Tesla markup, but it may not be as egregious as you would think. Over the past week, there was a rumor that Tesla was going to shut down production of the Model Y for the last week of December in China. But now Tesla apparently told Shell Finance that the above content, that rumor was not true. Rumors aside, let's just think about this rationally. So this is data from both Troy Teslike and CPCA. So Tesla right now is producing around 88,000 units per month from Giga Shanghai, which would be about 264,000 for quarter four if they maintain that production rate from October and November in December. Then Tesla's exports were 92,000 combined between the months of October and November. And as far as we can tell, we aren't really expecting any exports for Giga Shanghai for December. I wouldn't say it's a definite, but that's the expectation now. So doing some math, if we take that production figure for Q4 expected minus the 92,000 that have been exported with none in December, that would leave around 172,000 cars that Tesla would have to deliver domestically, locally in China to basically clear their inventory for quarter four. Given the fact that so far in quarter four, if you add up all of the weekly insurance registration data for Q4, it comes in at 97,000. And with only 3 weeks left to go in the quarter, it becomes pretty apparent that based on these assumptions, Tesla would be adding fairly significantly to its inventory if it maintained its production rates all the way through the month, which is why Troy Teslike and some others believe that this production shutdown rumor is true. And honestly, we'll find out soon enough, but sometimes I think the context can definitely be helpful. And then the question becomes, well, maybe Tesla wants to build its inventory since most of these cars will most likely be delivered anyway, even though it could be into quarter one. That's a fair point. However, the problem becomes if Tesla is planning to do a hardware upgrade, whether it's an HD radar, hardware 4, something like that, they wouldn't want to ship those older inventory cars because they wouldn't be delivered sometime into quarter one, depending on where they're going. And I would just add, in my opinion, there's at least a non-zero chance that we do have an export surprise in December, meaning Giga Shanghai does export some vehicles in the month, but just a guess. Personally, I don't agree that we should all be so laser focused on this, but I am hyper aware that all of Wall Street and big money is laser focused on the demand in China and what's going on, so hopefully this was somewhat helpful. Here we go again, back and forth with the third shift reporting at Giga Berlin. It's Q1, it's December, Q1, December. Well, the latest, it's December 16th for that third shift at Berlin. But there's some nuance I think people may be missing. A few weeks ago, we learned that Giga Berlin set a new single-day production record of 550 units for a day. If you multiply that by 5 days per week that Giga Berlin is currently operating, because they have not been working weekends except on special occasions, that's around 2,800 vehicles per week. And the thought has been to get to the goal of 5,000 per week. It's the third shift that will take us to that next step. And here's the nuance from Tesla Mag. There could be a third shift in the logistics area that will start this week, potentially the 16th, which would be Friday. And then there's a night shift in final assembly that may not begin until the second week of January. This nuance right here could explain some of the confusing and conflicting reporting that we've been hearing about this over the last 2 or 3 months. Either way, Giga Berlin is trending in the right direction, and hopefully we see those midnight cherry paint deliveries sometime in January. When it comes to the new Steam integration that's available on some Tesla vehicles right now, it sounds like just the new Model S and X vehicles that do have that discrete GPU. So the Model 3 and Y, as far as I know, don't yet have that discrete GPU. And I say this because as far as I can tell, this Steam integration should actually run native, meaning it's not streaming. And to do that and to do it well, you most likely would need a dedicated graphics card that the S and X have. So maybe the Model 3 and Y will get that upgrade in the future, but we don't know for sure. And also when it comes to Steam, Elon said it even works with a keyboard and a mouse, and that he's been playing some Cyberpunk. It works great, syncs with your Steam profile so you can pick up where you left off at home. On that note, Zach said it doesn't work on most 21, 22 Model S and X, only the very new ones. Will a retrofit be available? And Elon said yes, but again, this may just be for the S and X. Maybe the AMD Ryzen chips on the Model 3 and Y can actually handle this Steam integration, but we just don't know for sure right now. Tesla Raj shared a short video on the new Apple Music integration in your Tesla vehicle. So if you're out there patiently awaiting this to come to your car, I will link it below. I did just want to share, as far as they're saying in this video, so far no support for Dolby Atmos, but maybe that comes in the future. And overall, the integration looked very solid, maybe a little bit basic. However, in the future, I'd imagine there will be more features added to Apple Music. A Reddit user shared this photo saying that the font size in the Tesla UI is now bigger. I can't tell if it's a setting you can change or just something that they did. So if you know for sure, please let me know below. One more feature that I missed yesterday, the UI cards are back. In case you're not familiar, here are these cards. You have different information displayed that you can swipe through, tire pressure, and some others. So this feature was here before, they're just bringing it back. A few of you asked me to comment on this video from John at CleanerWatt, basically saying that the Tesla Semi may not have Autopilot enabled just yet. John did do a lot of digging and watching back through the Tesla Semi footage to actually look at the UI on the screen, and he basically noticed that all of the Autopilot UI features were not visible on any of those videos. So he definitely may be right, but we do know that the Tesla Semi is fitted with all of the cameras so that Autopilot and eventually FSD will be enabled on the Semi. So it could just be a matter of it being software locked for now, maybe on Tesla's vehicles, but who knows, maybe the Pepsi vehicles actually have it fully active. We just have no way to really know for sure. But again, in the long run, I'm very confident Autopilot and FSD will be there on the Tesla Semi. It's built to have it, it just might not have it yet. I want you to hear one thing that Mark Field said about Tesla in a recent interview. He used to be the CEO of Ford and he left back in 2017.
Importantly, under $50,000, they don't have a product. That's where the growth is going to be going forward as you shift from early adopters to mass adoption. So that's going to be a challenge for them.
Sure, the base Model 3 is slightly under $50,000, but we all get his point. I would just add, it seems like all of this is lining up perfectly. So we know Tesla doesn't really have a mass market vehicle, which is important to remember as they're still killing it without that. Now, the Inflation Reduction Act should serve as an excellent bridge to get us through this potential demand gap, recession, whatever you want to call it, as we head into the next few years. So that bridge is going to get us to the point when Tesla does have a mass market vehicle on the new Generation 3 platform, which should reduce manufacturing costs significantly. And whether it's a robo-taxi with no wheel or one that we can actually drive or a combination of both, Tesla does of course have plans to enter that mass market, and we haven't even started playing in that sandbox yet. And you throw in the Cybertruck and the Semi to that mix, which I would add may be recession proof. What I mean is there's a long list of people waiting to buy both of these vehicles that will most likely be able to buy it no matter what happens with the economy. So it looks like by the time Tesla actually works through some of the backlog for the Cybertruck and the Semi, they'll have that mass market vehicle ready, and the Inflation Reduction Act will help buoy us through this recession as we get to that point. Go ahead and throw in Tesla Energy and all the new Megapack production at Lathrop with the EV tax incentives and more Powerwall demand with virtual power plants slowly spreading. So over the next few years, if you ask me, things still look really, really good despite the recession. Now, I'm not saying 2023 is going to be some banner year. I do think it'll be a challenging year, but you get my point. Here we have an interesting twist. So the Tesla Lithium refinery that's been proposed near Corpus Christi in Texas did pass another hurdle, as Tesla has been approved to basically save in the neighborhood of $16 million over the next 10 years in tax payments. However, simultaneously, we are now learning that Tesla has other locations where they may build a lithium refinery. It's not really clear if this would be in addition to the one in Texas or in place of, but Canada is also a potential candidate for a lithium refinery. Drive Tesla Canada saying that Tesla will decide between sites in Nueces County near Austin, in Louisiana, and Canada, and they'll make that decision in the coming weeks. It could be unrelated, but DTC also said Tesla is close to signing a deal to set up a facility in a region north of Toronto. They were expecting that project to be a battery manufacturing facility, but now they're saying it could be a lithium refinery. We also have Redwood Materials looking to expand about 30 minutes northwest of Charleston in South Carolina, spending $3.5 billion on a new campus. At this site, they plan to recycle, refine, and remanufacture cathode and anode materials like nickel, cobalt, lithium, and copper. The new facility in Ridgefield aims to begin recycling late next year and to ramp up component manufacturing capacity to 100 gigawatt hours by 2025, which would be enough material for around 1 million EVs per year. In the future, they said the site will have capacity to expand to 400 gigawatt hours, but that would require a few extra $1 billion. We can probably all agree it'd be awesome to see all of this capacity being funneled right to Tesla, but honestly, it's really good for Redwood to branch out and not just be seen as a Tesla subsidiary, because it's really not. So at this new plant, they do plan to supply both Volvo and Ford, and I'm sure many others as well. I'm curious what you guys think about this one. Joe Manchin wrote a letter to Janet Yellen basically insisting that we keep the commercial EV tax credits in the Inflation Reduction Act for commercial applications. A few days ago, we talked about South Korea and some other places. We're trying to find loopholes for commercial vehicles when we talk about leasing and ride sharing to be eligible for some of these commercial tax credits. Basically, certain governments have been asking for loose interpretations of this Section 45W, which is good to know. It's this part that is the commercial aspect where rental cars, leased vehicles, and ride-hailing vehicles will qualify for a $7,500 commercial credit. Section 30D of the IRA is the one for the consumer tax credits that have all of the sourcing requirements attached to it. So Joe Manchin is saying if these vehicles are eligible, I can guarantee companies will focus their attention away from trying to invest in North America to meet the requirements of this Section 30D and will instead continue with business as usual, putting our transportation sector further at risk. What do you think? An honest congratulations to Ford, as the F-150 Lightning has won Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. It became the first EV truck to win by unanimous vote. Since the truck was introduced in May, sales have totaled 13,258. VW's chief designer Klaus Zisiora is leaving the company and will be replaced by Porsche's chief designer Michael Maurer. I don't expect anything to change in the near term, but over the next few years, it'll be interesting to see if any of the design languages change for VW. Mercedes put out a new press release saying they're investing a mid-single-digit billion euro amount in its European powertrain production locations. They're also looking to realign its global production network more towards electric vehicles, and they said by 2025 they want half of their vehicles to be electric, including both plug-in hybrids and full BEV. For me, this whole press release just highlights the advantage that Tesla has. They've set up their entire supply chain from day one to be aligned with where EV production and component sourcing is. Now all of these other OEMs have to totally restructure everything they've been doing so that their supply chains are more closely aligned geographically with where they'll be making their EVs. Not only that, but it requires comprehensive training and retraining for employees at the locations. As I'm wrapping up recording, Jerome Powell is speaking right now. I'm sure Rob will touch on that later tonight, and if not, then I can touch on it tomorrow. But we did get a 50 basis point rate hike as expected. Now the federal funds rate sits at 4.25%. That'll do it for today. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.